Last game of the day. Two best of threes, both going at the whole distance. Said there was going to be a bit of upset potential, and that upset potential has reared its head.
Oh, yes.
Senna, banned away. LGD on the red side. So they have chosen to be red side. I'd imagine all three teams have chosen red side today, then. As they've gone over with their side choice.
You should know me, fan in the audience there. Be quite pleased with how that K'Sante game worked out in the end. It was looking a little bit dicey earlier on, but in the end became enough of a threat to be problematic enough to lead towards the victory. IG back on the blue side, though. I wonder whether we see something a little bit different. The Varus up and available. It will be a Karma, potentially, first pick here.
They did play it a little bit beforehand, with or rather, Haichao did, with Shaya being the sole carrier of the Xayah. That worked out well for them. It's going to be a takeaway. The champion is, of course, technically a multi-role flex. We have seen it a bit in top lane, but a lot of players in top lane don't really know how to bully out those matchups so well. It really has just been put into mid lane and used to be a bit of an enchanter bot later on. Nullifies laning phase, great 1 to 2 item spike. Other side though, this Varus could be 3 for 3 out of the games in this one. Hasn't always been the most successful. It is just one of those early lane dominant picks which can make things very easy to play around on the bot side of the map.
And Shaya was pretty good on that one, it's fair to say, but it wasn't quite enough as the game went on, and I think going back to the pick, I don't think, as you said, will be much of a surprise. I'm thinking about going back to the Hui as well. That combo, ranged artillery, did a lot of damage, but they were struggling to finish off kills in the last game.
Are we going to get a K'Sante on 2 again? That would force the Varus into an on-hit build. You can't really play poke Varus into a K'Sante because then no one kills the K'Sante. It's a bit of an issue. Unless, of course, Birdle's got something a bit special for us in the top lane, but he's not... Well, even then, it's not really the tank killer nowadays. Can help bully out, but it's not really going to be that consistent DPS. I think K'Sante is an easy lock in here for Yscam. He's played most of the games. We're going to get Lien on Graves, which is definitely a different start to things, and can be a really good threat to put a smoke screen onto a Varus. So now, riddle me this, right? You're locking a K'Sante here, you smoke screen the Varus in the team fights. Who kills the K'Sante? Because the old AD carry can't auto attack in the key moments.
He's not doing it. Yeah, exactly. I kind of agree. I think K'Sante is a good call there. I think you're right. And of course, Leon has been.
Lien.
Is it not Leon?
No, Lien.
Yen. Okay, I remember that one. Okay, good to know.
He's going to be important burst combo. Less ability to gank, less ability to start off fights, but he can definitely throw that smoke screen in to an important moment in the team fight, particularly onto that Varus who we expect to be the on-hit. Verdal could go back towards the Gnar. He's gotten advantages with it before. He's had some team fight value, but he needs to show that he can use the individual advantage.
We'll see whether they can convert that into me, because game 1 very much did that with some excellent team fighting on the Gnar. And game 2... individually, as we said, played it very well, and I'm not necessarily sure it's even necessarily on him about the side laning at some point. It feels like the team was pulling him all over the place a bit as well, and that's always difficult to call from the outside anyway. But the second phase of picks and bans, perhaps a little bit surprising to both of us that neither top laner has really looked to save their picks to later on in the draft, and instead it will be bot laners again, kind of where some of the spice has been coming on through.
Karma, really yet to see it flexed around, so we're expecting that to be in mid lane. It's pretty valuable too, works well into the way, can bully it out to points, because you get to shield your way and speed your way out of a lot of those speed ups. What have you got left for Arn now? What can you put in there? Of course, the Karma is a really good AD carry enabler. I don't think you can really go for the Xayah at this point. You're too outranged by the backline. That'd be really annoying for you. So what would you go for on at this point? Pool's starting to get a little bit slim. The Xayah's banned away all the same. Maybe you are just left with someone like an Ezreal.
It's definitely a good option, I think, and it does feel a little bit tricky. I feel like a Phelios kind of falling off the ball and would be scary into this comp anyway, with the fact that Varus and Hui can hit you from miles and miles away. The Ezreal, I think, probably makes some sense. Is Ashe up? Maybe you Ashe? But do you really want to Ashe AD carry? It's not felt as common as it once did.
Yeah, I mean, Ashe support has really been the go-to. I mean, you've got Hope on Team W, who still plays on AD carry, but that's kind of it. That one. I think when you're looking at this backline, though, we'll see what it comes in fourth. Maybe Meteor goes towards the... Well, the Shinsa's already banned, so Meteor can't go towards that. What other kind of frontliney junglers could you look for? Not too many left on the table. I guess you could lock into Sejuani, but without melee synergies, that would kind of suck. Okay. Instead says, look, all right, early pressure, reset value, Viego comes in. I don't think Viego's in a fantastic spot in this game. It'll be quite easy to pick off. You might have to ult backward if he starts getting Nautilus hook thrown at him. You know what? I almost wonder if we even get something like a Kai'Sa Nautilus getting locked in.
Is up.
Draven, I think if you look in, I think, yeah, I like the Nautilus. It was the MVP from Game 2 as well from Wing. I think something which is aggressive and follow up on those hooks is really the name of the game.
I'm just going to put this out there. Nymaera is a bit of a kind of underground special for some of the LDL teams. I don't think it would be a good option, but you just wonder with it being left a bit further on. The Draven, I think, would make a bit more sense considering who it is, but we'll wait and see. There's still a couple options. The Ezreal's still up.
Nymaera's just a little bit too outranged. I think the Draven or the Kai'Sa, one of the two.
Could be fun.
But then again, Neela, same problem. Too long range. Too hard to get gap close onto them. Neela and Nymaera are actually very similar champions. The Draven can at least follow up with his ults. And he's got a bit more free targeted mobility by just using the Blood Rush to speed himself around.
Okay.
Us are now locked in. What that means is that you can be the one true frontline towards this bot lane. Very few support champions can actually act as a frontline. Someone like Braum obviously can do at different points, but the Alistar with that ult running gives you kind of like the Crescent Guard of a Shinzao, that window of time where you just know someone will hold the door closed.
And it's still a kill lane bot. It's the special we've not seen in a little while from the bot lane of IG. It's always kind of lurking in the back pocket. It's been hovered a few times. It's been banned once or twice, but it is now in for that bot lane. And it does mean our eyes once again turn towards the bot lane, perhaps a little against the expectations before this series. Leon on this Graves as well. That's a lot of potential AD snowball from the jungle and bot lane.
Of course, there's snowball on both junglers' parts of this too. Someone like that Viego, reset potential. Someone like that Graves, following up with the lethality build, can really one-shot someone on that backline. If the front line can block those skill shots, if they can block out that damage long enough, maybe that'll be enough for the Hui and the Varus to get the dirty business done and get them their resets for their jungler as well. However, if those carries get focused onto, if there's a Nautilus onto them, things are going to go from bad to worse very quickly with the Draven ult, the Graves ult following through.
Volatility really injected into a game anytime you see a Draven, and if it goes wrong, there's definitely possibility for it to go wrong when you've got Viego, Varus, Hui. If they start snowballing on the other side, Draven can have a very miserable time walking up, because where he's going to be walking will be marked on the floor by one of those axe marks, and Varus, Hui, and Viego will not miss.
Let's give him a bit of the target on the back. Really need to see who can punish that champion. Harder to punish him still, though, with a front line like Cassante, with a mid laner like that Karma as well, to keep them shielded, to keep them moving up as well. I actually walk into this draft thinking that IG had themselves a really good team fight front to back. I think it's harder for LGD to play theirs. I think the smoke screen from Graves, as we said as well, quite a big difference maker. He's actually gone towards the Hail of Blade, so it might even be the poke Varus. I think Shaya looks at the Graves, looks at the Karma and says, yeah, I'm not going to be able to walk up and auto-attack, and Meteor going to get found out in his own jungle. Don't think he has to flash, just walks away.
Does so, and that's a nice little wrap around there from Leam, but it will force a reset. I don't think it's going to get that much, as you said, and instead we'll see the ward put down on the enemy red buff. It doesn't look like they're going to stick around in the enemy jungle either.
Lian gets to assert his authority. Takes a little bit of damage, but that's more than fine. Graves doesn't really need HP for his clear. He has an infinite amount with the fleet footwork as well. He can keep kiting back with the new Destiny shotgun. They're going to walk into the enemy jungle. They have a much better level 1 with the Nautilus, so they can just keep walking up and getting value, push their way into the enemy jungle, get themselves an enemy camp takeaway.
Will be the plan. They kind of do that cross-map invade, having a vague idea about what's going on. And that's part of the power you get from forcing that early back. I wonder whether, with that split map up and available, they'll look for a very early fight here with the Graves around.
Level 1 is hard because you know that the full quadrant has to come through. They're going to look for that hook first. It's the Aftershocks traded. Draven Axe is flying through. Health trade a little bit back and forth, but just getting them low HP gives angles now for Lian to maybe and go towards bot.
See whether the level 3 comes through early enough and whether they get the right. Second hook goes wide this time around. With the wave stacking and the levels potentially a little hard to come by from LGD, this could get quite difficult for the side of Xiaoye and Jinjiao to manage.
So Lian won't have a red buff. Meteor is not on the same side of the map. He's going to have to cross map the other way. Do they even know? They don't have any wards onto top side of the map. They have one ward onto enemy red buff, but that would still maybe give them false information that Lian is on his own blue side and heading down towards bot side. I don't think Meteor completely knows. He's going to be spotted on a ward now, so IG have full information.
And they'll have an idea about what Meteor now has to do as Graves heads on down towards his own red quadrant. Arn and Wink will get the crash, and I wonder whether they look for an early-ish reset. They'll put the ward down at least, while it's just walking into the river to try and fight for the scuttle grab perhaps instead.
Xiaoye is only just getting beyond 2 CS, gets the wave crash in. I think sadly, it won't be enough gold for Draven to get a full Dirk on this reset, which is what they would really like to get very early on. So I think it's probably what can be boots, longsword, maybe double boots, just the one instead. It's an early reset, some extra combat gold, combat stats rather. Meteor not going to walk into the enemy side of the map, but he might end up meeting,
I think he
is
is.
Graves, who does have double buffs as well. Very dangerous, and Meteor, as we say that, is going to walk away into the night.
And actually we'll be able to claim this one, you think, because Skullcrab spawns, but Cryhen is here to be as obnoxious as possible. Will Len try and smite this one away? We'll hold on to it instead, and we'll now get to walk over to the Skullcrab with the support of his lane, as a Meteor kind of comprehensively a little bit out-jungled there, really.
Yeah, this is what the Nautilus level 1 gets you. Get to walk into the enemy jungle and threaten really big fights early on. You can't really defend your own side of the jungle at that point. It means that IG have the run of the map very early on. He's trying to get himself a little bit of defensive vision now to see potentially where Leon could be. He's not going to get contested on these Raptors, which is a breath of air for Meteor, which he's had lacking amounts of so far. Leon, we sung his praises against BLG and how well he's done in their victories as he's been subbed in. Tianxian, of course, was subbed out of this roster for him. Hook lands, Jin Zhao ignites it, flashes away.
Let me show you his old teammate. Jin Zhao goes down first blood, just a 2v2 kill. That's rough to see, and that's the heal popped as well, and Draven cashes in nice and early. That will be a Dirk now.
Well, a Meteor tried to go towards the bot side to scuttle. He gets it away, but he's going to have to flash as well. So it's a kill on the bot side, it's a flash, and Meteor has to flash for the luxury of getting that scuttle. Blabber cries out in the distance somewhere. And IG really running this early game. Need to try and keep it up, see if they can snowball around this Draven a little bit more. The first cash in, it's only after, 30 CS. It's not the most axes caught in the game, so it's not going to be the huge cash in, but it's still gold ahead. That's going to get him towards Dirk almost certainly. Actually, it's a Sheen on the first back, but Arn in a great position now.
Oh.
Hook at max range. You don't end up, well, Jin Zhao, you can sometimes end up cancelling out the hook if you're in the right kind of place and it goes onto someone else. But he's not able to survive that combo.
The kill comes on through before the headbutt bolt can land, and maybe that might have been enough to turn it around if Shay can get another auto to win. Instead, it is stakes for dinner, and Arn cashes in, comes back with that Sheen as you said, and for a slightly different build. I suppose it'd be the Essence Reaver first.
Looks like. Interested to see that, of course, he's not going for the lethality, which is really strong in the Draven right now. You can go towards the Yomus, and if you have Yomus and you have the Karma speeding you up, you are so hard to get a hold of, and you can maneuver around the fights really well. There's going to be 3 people towards the bot side. You can see that he has been left alone by Wink so far. But with Meteor spotted out on the pink ward, just in the dry brush, you can walk up and at least get some farm.
Does indeed. Doesn't lose too much, and now gets to come back towards the mid lane. Does Leon, who's doing as much. And they're now going to head towards their own Raptor pit as an all-out comes on through as Birdle hops away.
That's just going to be the end of that on top side, teleporting back for the first base of the game. And that one matchup really has just been this Graves running forward using jungle support synergy of that Nautilus to just kind of have the early level kill threat. I mean, objectives of the game from IG very well secured. And LGD, they're kind of waiting for a couple of items to come in. You've got the Dirk onto Shaya going towards the poke build. That'll be able to have some laning presence, not really going to be able to stop him from farming up. And LGD kind of need to wait for their first overstep to punish from IG.
Dragon secured early on here from Leon as well, doing his very best to continue putting down that pressure. Has kept that camply, but not really extended it so far. It's gone towards the Arcturix first as well, so I think that builds towards opportunity probably first. Maybe Hubris if he's feeling very exciting, but slightly different build here from Graves.
I'm going to imagine it's going to... I mean, Yomu's first on Graves is just so good.
Does Arcturix build into Yomu's at the minute?
I'm trying to remember if it does.
I'm not sure it does. I think it's Dirk and Caulfield still.
I have to say, I've avoided the lethality items so much because I don't play a lot of AD assassins. I used to play them a lot in mid lane, but I've kind of moved away from them. We have seen some opportunity. I just think that, okay, regardless of whether it does or it doesn't, Yomu's is really good on Graves, and as we were saying, for the same logic as the Draven, if you have Yomu's and then the Karma Shield, your ability to reposition as shorter range AD carries is really strong and gets you out of the way of, someone like the Huey skill shots or someone like Viego as he tries to run into you. It could be very valuable. And it is a Yomu's component. So
it is a Yomu's component. There you go. I wasn't sure if it was or not. For some reason, I still remember the old build path when I say this.
Well, that was when every Dirk item would evolve into Dirk plus Caulfield into something.
Yeah.
It was always that.
A lot of ability haste everywhere.
A slower early game this time. As, you can see that as the supports have been roaming around the map again, a lot of these melee supports again, they leave wards as they roam. You can see that LGD do now suddenly have a lot of wards across the entirety of the map. They can spot out some of these potential players coming in from IG. Again, I think what LGD really want to be doing is hitting level 6 on the Varus Alistar and looking for an overstep. Someone like this Graves, someone like this Nautilus, if they go too deep and too aggressive, they can be forced away. Birtle eking out a small advantage, has the cull this time. They didn't use it very well in the last game though. Need to see and really justify picking this matchup again as YSCam sees him go into mini but doesn't pick out the all-in.
Again, we've not seen too many of those all-ins really occur successfully in this matchup compared to the other day when you were seeing Nars caught out in the side lane time and time again. And instead, we are back towards the spot lane with both junglers hanging around, waiting to see if someone goes in a little bit ill-advisedly.
That's going to be one thing, trying to punish Wink. He doesn't have much way out of this.
Oh, he might well be dead, but now the resets can begin to fly on through. Big amount of damage back. The Whirling Death comes on through, but the heal there to keep Jin Zhao topped up.
And can't quite get the return. Goes a little bit too long, and the reset came in through from Me Too, as you can't realistically look for continuation of that play. The extra Heartbreaker, heck, even just the basic abilities from the Nautilus, a little too strong. So LGD get themselves their first kill. They don't manage to shut down that Draven. Last time he cashed in was around about 25 CS or so. So he's had a decent amount topped up on top of that, catching access, had access to the wave. The next shutdown for Graves, for the Draven rather, could be really, really big. So LGD lucky to get away with a good fight there before they could really turn and burn.
We're now kind of coming towards those second grubs spawning. And you see Graves beelining his way over, but so is the rest of LGD. I think we might be due a contest, especially because Wink's roamed on up. It does look like Xiaoye is sticking towards the bot lane, and Arm will be heading over too. So it will be Shire AD carries if a true contest does come on through.
And you don't have the Draven ult for the global. Sometimes ends up being a factor. Bird ult stacking up towards towards Mega Knight. YSCam no teleport to come in at full HP. So I think IG, do they really want to look for this flash from Jin Zhao? High Chow with this combo as well. Dangerous to sit in this choke point from Invictus Gaming.
Back away for now. Now stacking up. Birdall going towards the Mega Nut. YSKM comes on down, crying. Gets the W. But Jin Zhao just enough movement speed to get away from that.
So, a return back into the jungle. No serious HP lost from Lian, who can farm up these things really, really healthily. Jin Zhao finally pulls the combo. Doesn't use his ult just yet. Goes now.
But Meteor had to sidestep the hook. He's not going to follow up on this one too well. The W now in a dangerous position as Haichao tries to speed himself up on that fleeting current. Will not be rooted up. And now Birdall in the back of the pit has got Mega Gnar. How aggressive does he want to play this? Decides against it, and the grubs do go over to IG despite some posturing from the side of LGD.
And that's going to be a full 6 as well. Lin doesn't even have to smite down the 5th one, so it's going to be the full buff going over. Big win from Invictus Gaming. Don't think it's the easiest game for utilizing those, but if they manage to get the Herald as well, one thing that we've seen is Herald plus multiple grubs can be a really powerful full turret take. And if you ever slip up in the macro, which we've said LGD have done from time to time, and especially in this series, IG now have a powerful tool to hold at their throats and really threaten them with. So IG, good moment from them. Jin Zhao on the other side, need to see him do better than this. The last game on the Rakan, really poor engages from him. This time has to pop his ult for free, almost goes down. Not well timed from him again. Need to see better.
And that could prove problematic. The gold is, as we said, fairly even, but the problem is where the gold kind of is. The fact that Graves has managed to do quite a good job of getting ahead of things early on in the game. The fact that Draven has got a cash in feels pretty good, and yes, the Nar's doing fine in that isolated matchup, but that's still a little bit alarming if you are an LGD fan.
Looking in at the first items too, Karma just got the Malignants. First items coming in largely across the board. We already talked about the Youmu's and Cryan being able to reposition Lian, and the Dragon setup. Those first items are so huge.
Oh my days, that Blast Cone forced a couple flashed afterwards. I think Jin Zhao dies for it. It's Wink, unfortunately, that gets that one. Curses to Arn, who wished that one was his. Can't quite make it happen still. The cow dies again. And the cash-in will have to wait a minute or two for Arn.
I mean, why are you engaging like that? We just mentioned the items. They were almost the arrow still on the other side. But really, those items are so nasty. Essence Reaver, Malignance, Youmu's. You don't have the stats to fight against this one item spike when you're not sat on one item for your mid or your AD carry. Feels like a big overestimation from LGD.
Shang takes a Blood Rush infused axe to the face, and that's about 20% of his HP bar in one auto. As Arn will get this shove back in, but will likely need to back shortly because there's a cow now waiting in the wings, and it would be a 1v2.
Jinzhao, don't even think that engage was the best well timed. It was a good angle, it's just not in coordination with his team, and now he walks away from another fight in this early game, which maybe could have led to something more. Going back into this, he goes in, but there's no Mega Nut, there's no flash forward. There's no CC from Meteor. Really is just him on his own. Great delaying ult from Wink as well. I think he does a great job there. Does end up killing with the Ignite afterwards, so sadly no cash in. But either way, IG will take the fight.
To the bot lane turret we now turn our eyes. Remember, with all 6 grubs, Arn's going to claim a lot of plates here, and he's got lethality. He's not got lethality, I would say lethality against turrets.
Sheen, though.
He's got Sheen, and that does similar work here. 2 plates gone in the blink of an eye.
I like the way you think. It's the Sheen, it's the 6 grub buff. It's nasty stuff. LGD pinned back in their own jungle, as Leon even gets a blue buff steal. No. Insult to injury. I guess the one consolation prize for LGD is, hey, Nars got an isolated lane versus the Cassante, but it's not exploding anywhere. It's not getting plates even. Of course, he can't even get plates now. It's past that 14th minute. So IG, good early gold lead from the onset of things. And with a real threat at this item breakpoint to punish, Birdall might get flashed on here. We'll see if, well, Wink doesn't have flash. Okay, so we can't get flashed on by Wink. But there was a chance, I tell ya.
Cryan doesn't either, so there wasn't anybody there actually who could flash.
So like, well, yeah, he could get flash. Wait a second, he doesn't have that. It's the, you know, you'd call that a flash. This is the flash. No, it's not.
That's a smite.
It's a spoon. I see it playing
flashy spoony before.
Flashy spoony before.
It was a little bit more inappropriate.
This is really important. 272 stacks has just popped up on the screen there from on. Big thing is, Herald has come up. This is the moment where LGD cannot afford to flub this fight. There's a vision ward just on their entrance from mid lane over to the river. IG, if they find a good wave here, a good fight rather, they can get themselves a Herald push with 6 grubs and maybe start steamrolling through this game. LGD, warning, sirens must be blaring now. They don't want to give up the Herald, but they cannot give up the fight.
They cannot give up a kill to Arn, as you said, with those huge amounts of glory stacks. What was it, 272 you said? That could prove very, very difficult. You lose this fight hard enough, and this could well be lights out.
So LGD, again, they're between a rock and a hard place. They cannot give up this Herald easily because that would start breaking up the turrets, which IG have threatened to wave over their heads for the longest time. With the 6 grub buffs, that would be very dangerous. But they can't give up the fight either. If you give a cash into the Draven, that is just as bad. Smoke screen out from Leon. Actually, a very important cooldown. Wait for that one to come back up. Maybe a moment now from LGD to start pushing into River. Look for a fight on. Dangerous positioning.
Little bit caught out there as a bit of damage comes back towards him, but not amount to too much as it stands. Herald was started, but then pulled off as both teams felt just a little bit nervous about going in there with the timings as they were.
IG, I think they realise that now is their time as well, but they can't exactly walk up for free. They don't have the Alistar ult on their support. Nautilus dies a lot more easy. Face checking for them is actually quite an ordeal. They need Wisecam with W and the max range hook not quite going to connect. A little far around and hide shout. With all things said and done, LGD, they reset, they go back for wards, but they leave the Herald unattended, and sadly for them, that's going to be down.
Varus as well was spotted on the ward, so they knew he was backing. It was going to be this man advantage because of where that ward was there. Actually allowed that attempted hook from Wink, which could be pretty problematic. Right. Herald taken, no fight from LGD.
No, and that means that you have the 6 grub push with the Herald threat. There have been no turrets taken so far, so first turret bonus is up and available. LGD couldn't really find the battlefield. They end up taking the lesser of the 2 evils, but IG, they have a powerful tool now to really make sure that LGD can have to respect them in their turret push.
Just under a minute until the next dragon, and we know the soul being ocean could be pretty good for IG if they can get a hold of it. And they can probably just clear all the way through this red side jungle, drop the Herald in mid, and then roam over towards claiming Soul Point. I imagine that's what's on the cards.
Definitely very powerful for them. They have the better front line in this game. If the Cassante is relevant, the Alistar ultimate, it's nice, but someone like Cassante with Ocean Soul, very, very dangerous. Now, IG, what are you going to do with this Herald? Are you going to use it before the dragon comes up to pull LGD around the map? There's a chance of that happening, but I need to be careful. There's been a lot of vision kind of dropped in random spots. There is a ward behind LGD. We have Teleport in from Cryon, a group up in the mid lane from IG, item breakpoints established. They would really like to use this Herald to their advantage and get an entrance into River.
And was just nearly caught out there by Haichao with the crushing wall, but can't quite make it happen. Towards the dragon they go. They've held on to the Herald for now, overcome the rest of LGD. They do want to fight this on, trying to stay in a safe position to do some DPS. Chains of Corruption goes wide, and Sharia has to flash. What about the rest of the fight? YSKM. Chunks got the passive from the signature of Hui on him, but won't take anything more. Dragon positioning now, LGDs, but the damage back, still nothing to sniff at.
On goes in the shove in another wave into mid-turret. You can see that IG, they do have a range disadvantage because of the poke from the Hui and from the Varus. LGD missing those ults though, important for them. Sharia going into River, that's a mistake.
Oh, the flash forwards from Cryon puts a massive slow on Sharia, has to flash away. How much damage back is coming forwards? Just not enough. Back onto the dragon they go. Mini Gnar for Birdle. This could be very hard for LGD to contest.
Moment of madness from Varus, but the fight isn't quite done. He has enough HP to stand at range and just fire arrows in. He's going to try and do that again now. IG looking for the engage if possible, but those arrows are still coming through.
On, down about half HP himself, could prove problematic. The hook lands onto Wink, but he's tanky enough for now, shielding up. Watch for Birdle, nearly at Mega himself. On, still trying to play this one out. Mega nearly there. Wink pulling back away. Dragon about to be secured by Meteor, you think, as the fight continues. As Ice Game tries to get the backside. All out but buffered. Flash forward from On, gets the cash in. Xiaoyu dies as well. A double kill to the Draven. The Dragon is secured, but at what cost? Because Draven is, going forth with a very, very hefty cost to his services. Jinzhao dies as well. Wink gets that one. Blink and you miss it. Towards the tower they go, and this falls as well, and they lose a dragon, yes, but everything else is IG's for the taking.
On has just been written a check for 1,053 gold, but his jungler goes down at the end of the play. It's going to be dragon taken by LGD. They end up taking that one away at the very least, but IG, huge amount of gold now onto On's Draven. IG and Draven, that has been a story told for many different AD carries over many different years. It was a long fight. Xiaoyu at this point had both his summoners blown, he had his ultimate missed as well, but he's still a poke Varus. He can fight from longer range than on hit, and Birdle keeps going round the flank, trying to look for the big Mega Gnar. Drops his boomerang, sadly for him, so he doesn't have the hugest amount of extra damage afterwards. Gnar's out. It's not enough to save him.
I want to see that axe landing as he Mega Gnar'd. If he'd been a second later, he would have died then beforehand, and still doesn't matter, still goes down, still a double kill over the Draven. It felt so very good for a moment here. And then just at the end, a little bit awkward from there.
Wink takes the kill with the hook. That actually makes me smile. I'm like, dude, you don't need that at all. But still, picks that one up. Now you have an Infinity Edge in the workings of a mortal reminder for On. This Draven will absolutely slap. It's a little bit of an earlier dip in power compared to like the first item, Yomu's. But now when you get to 2-3 items, you're going to get one shot from the side of LGD. Haichao trying to wave clear in the side lane. Luckily, they have enough of that right now as he's on his way to a second item. Not quite there just yet. On is so far ahead of the game. LGD feels like another dragon fight, which they're going to rue.
What's that? Lord Dom's in. Who on earth stands in front of you? The Draven, certainly not as bothered about hitting someone like the Alistair, who just cries. And they've got crying on their tail against them anyway.
A plaintive moo heads out across the rift. There's, that actually made me really sad, actually.
Plaintive moo ever before.
That actually makes me quite sad. I don't want to say that again now. Oh, plaintive moo. LGD, they got to find themselves one winning fight.
As opposed to what, like a restrained bleat.
You can put adjectives on animal sounds. You know that cows have regional accents?
Yes, I did know that.
So cows from different areas in the world and different farms, they will actually moo slightly differently. I'd imagine they still understand what they're saying to an extent, but yeah, they moo differently.
Huh. Does that mean we get it's like a French accented cow? Or a German accented cow? It's just with more umlauts in the German one?
Presumably so, yeah. God damn it.
How many umlauts can you fit on a cow noise?
Yeah, topics I didn't expect for 500, Alex. Well, you know that different animals in different conclaves, I guess, around the world do learn different learned behaviors. You know that there's a load of orcas which just eats great white shark livers. They don't even eat the rest of it. They just like the liver of great white sharks. Just some off the coast of South Africa.
I swear they're just real dicks.
They are psychopaths. Yeah, they're just real fucking psychopaths,
orcas are really scary animals.
They are. And there's also some humpback whales which have learned to just lie up like vertical in the ocean and kind of like leave their mouths open as birds are hunting fish, because the fish then seek safety in their mouths as the birds are hunting them, and they just eat them anyway. So yeah, I think there are 3 humpback whales in the same area which have learned how to do that.
That's
Fascinating
ingenious.
creatures. Really fascinating. They've learned how to hunt that way.
It's amazing, really. Where's David Attenborough? It's really sorry. It should be
How extraordinary. There will be no safety here from the school of fish as the Baron has been started. Now schooling around it are Invictus Gaming, looking to claim this ultimate of prizes. But LGD refuse to give this a cleanly... teleport to take things up a notch as the fight starts in earnest. The hunt begins. Xiaoye in a dangerous position. YSKM will tell them all why they know him. These particular colours are not the mating variety, but the ones to warn of violence. And extreme it is in this case as Junrao flashes away, his ultimate running tail between his legs. Their pack and their pride broken.
And the Baron started once more, as now, with Xiaoye dead, Meteor will have to look for a steal. They don't have the poke over the wall. Haichao has ult. Maybe they can look for that. How much damage can it realistically do, though?
Hook.
IG get another hook, and they peel off Baron.
Birdall hops over the wall, and IG decide against doing that. It might have been a bit tricky, in fairness, with only the 5v4 to work with, and instead, they are looking to set up position around this dragon. They'd rather get soul point off this, by the looks of it.
Jin Zhao backing now after holding the door well closed that time, but not able to save his AD carry. Victus Gaming still walking forward with extra kills, extra pressure on the map, significant gold lead. Middle lane outer turret has stood at the test of this, though. See that Haichao at 2 items, really good wave clear on this way. Saves the mid lane turret, but won't save themselves. The dragon being taken on the other side, so soul point achieved from Invictus Gaming.
Draven at 3.5 items at the minute is a very scary creature indeed. For all we're making the David Attenborough puns, that is very much the Apex Predator on the Rift right now. You've got 2 items on the grave as well with the Collector and the Yomus. Feels like on the side of LGD, the wrong person get hit by the Draven or the Graves and they will just disappear. And even the Gnar, right, has gone towards the Black Cleaver second. Hasn't really built up resists. It's HP at best.
Going in towards other items as well. Collector for Liam, which will help him kind of fire across and be the finishing final auto. You can see that, of course. The Vamp Scepter picked up on top of Arn's build as well. Really feels like LG, they're outgunned.
Oh, it's a lollipop out here as well. They're eating good. Chains of Corruption goes wide. And now they'll back off from that one. And they continue to try and contest for mid lane pressure.
I was looking at the side. I know you were talking actually about the Graves build. When you said Black Cleaver, I'm like, oh, it's obviously talking about the Gnar build. And I was like, oh yeah, but what about the Collector on Graves? Wait a second. I do realize that. Sometimes I realize I make mistakes. And I was sat there, I was like, okay, well, I got to talk about someone else's
I wasn't going to call you out on it. But...
No, he gave me the slyest look and he's like, oh, you fell into my trap. But still, those items, still important. So nice to talk about them multiple times. We talked about that Lord Doms earlier into the game. Vamp Scepter helps shrug off the poke. And the Serpent's Fang will help at least mitigate some of the Karma AoE shielding. Don't really know if that's going to be enough. LGD... they've been really struggling to get damage down onto priority targets. Feels like the best they can hope for is a pick onto one of the frontliners and hope that IG can't find a second fight afterwards.
Problem is, there's just so much damage to deal with. Like, Karma at this point is certainly not falling off damage-wise. The Cassante on the right person is going to be difficult to deal with. We talked about the Graves, we talked about the Draven. It's not easy, even if you do manage to get rid of one person, especially if it comes at too high a cost.
Jin Zhao, maybe Hex flashing over the wall. He's off vision, Leon potentially caught, but not going to be the one caught for the death.
Oh boy, that is a very dead artist, tortured indeed, as he is knocked up and decapitated by Arn. The Grand Execution doing a lot of work. The Standard Side does some work as well to keep people away from the turret. Now they continue to walking forwards. Crying throws out another Soul Flare. I forget, Inner Flame is what the Q is without the Empowered Mantra ability. And the tier 1 falls.
That's an important moment. Now it's going to be much harder for LGD to protect that Baron advance from IG. They don't have to overforce to IG. They're happy just looking for those hooks. And sadly, that Tortured Artist is going to go quarry into his oat milk latte and go back to writing his songs. And
he's an oat milk latte enjoyer, is he?
Look, if I hear Tortured Artist, I know they're drinking an oat milk latte because
not flat white.
Well, I know that's what you... Sam, you try to call yourself... Sam, that is your coffee order.
I have to cast with you. I'm clearly a tortured artist.
Yeah. This guy's coffee order is an oat milk latte. He's not even lactose intolerant. He just likes it.
Okay, there's one specific place that does it.
It is quite nice. It is really nice. Oh, have a sip. That's a lot of damage. Hex Flash over. One Hex Flash works on one side, and it doesn't work for us, sadly, on the Alistair on the other. Big moment. It's another cash in. 300, 553 on top of that. Bloody hell, the cash in.
Yeah, that's a bloodthirster. The investment bank is doing pretty well here. Draven has been cashing in very well.
How the hell do we not have a Stonks Draven, a business Draven? It's so incredible. Stonks up, Stonks down.
Hedge fund Draven.
Come here for your
high risk investments.
Come here for your venture capitalism.
Yeah,
Any esports orgs want to get conned by me?
I feel like that's probably a little bit too on the nose for League of Legends right now. I don't have a venture capitalist.
Sam, it's my stream. I can do what I fucking want. It's Cassandra's like, hey, I'm handing out like an FTX deal. I'm handing out like a... What else do you want on there? Oh, God. Well. Invictus Gaming.
We're digging for water.
We are. And let's see if we can tread some water for a little bit as the game slows down a little bit more. Leanne, when you're pushing out that top lane wave.
Split bush graves.
Oh, we still need to do it. But he absolutely can, and he's safe, right? Flash, E, ult, very easy for him to get out. He has the Yomus as well, once that, well, he's off on cooldown right now, but Leanne is really hard to catch. And later on as well, we want to talk about that comboed up with the Karma. Cryan looking for a bit of poke as it stands. Gonna land it, potentially, onto Meteor. He sat there, trying to get himself through this choke point. It's going to have to be a steal. It's very low HP. They don't want it lower than 5k HP. I think beyond that, maybe there's a potential of a Hui Varus burst onto the Baron. And LGD get away with that one without even having to blow teleports.
LGD, because they're all corralled and putting vision down around their red side jungle, it means YSCam's got to shove up in the bot side. There's Dragon spawning a minute, and it will be IG that have full command of this bot side river. There is one singular ward in the Dragon Pit, and that's it right now for LGD's vision on this bot side of the map.
I think this is where you realize how awkward it is playing against the side lane advantage even when you are ahead, because if you can't force the Baron, you can't really even force out the teleport because it goes down too slow. Teleport coming in from YSKM. Wink doesn't throw out his ult just yet.
Little bit of damage back. Wink about to go down. Body secured. That's the Nautilus. Huge abilities on the basic options. This is a big Q3 though, and Ginger about to fall. Flashes away just far enough to prevent an additional auto. Arm trying to get a blood rush to get that final kill. Can't quite make it happen, and it's just a 1 for none.
Wink can't even get his ult out. If you can do that, I think that disruption would have been enough for IG to take the fight. It is a 1 for none, and IG struggle to leverage their gold advantage into a clean 1 fight. They do, however, go towards the Ocean Soul Dragon itself, so LGD, they win the battle, but they might just lose the war.
Exactly that, and it cost them so much to even get that singular kill, and really what it does is it's just in trade for an Ocean Soul, and that is a big deal.
I wouldn't normally do this, but I saw a comment on Twitch chat which really made me laugh as we see fight fizzle out here, which says of the corporate Draven. Imagine LOL Monopoly. All I can think of is, wow, it's another game which makes you hate your friends and family.
And we just like, rather than like train station, you have the different dragons.
Yeah, different dragons. The blue buff, maybe you can have the blue
utility blue buff and red buff. Exactly.
Ah, there you go. You can have like Dragon Herald, and then obviously Mayfair is all the void creatures. That makes sense. That'll be it.
Baron's the ultimate prize.
Get back onto the Dragon. Can IG force a fight better than they did last time? Arn used the flash to get away from Jinzhao in the last fight, so he doesn't have it now to reposition. Need to see the big fight come through.
Jinzhao's just pulled back into it, and it will be steak for dinner. Jinzhao about to fall down. Does so. Leon gets that kill. Man, disadvantage. Meteor, no flash, but does have the ultimate. So does have access to the pit, as long as he can hold on to the Heartbreaker. About to go down! The arrow's well timed, but not in time enough. Birdol falls as well, and IG secured themselves the Baron. Haichao running away, but there's just not enough paint on the brush or ink in the well. He's dead as well.
All he's going to be doing with all the remainder of the dregs on that brush is writing a farewell note. LGD, we said there was upset potential. We said that IG, they're inconsistent enough, but with the Baron buff and the 6 Void Grubs, IG are going to crush through the base. This should do it, honestly. I think IG have just sealed out the 2 for 1.
Liam brings out the Graves, Arm brings out the Draven. It's some classic picks of both, and they snowball their way to a pretty clean victory. LGD lacking options in this final game and about to fall despite a valiant effort across the series. It's still Invictus Gaming that will move to 6-3 and remain at the top of the tables, or at least close to it, importantly.
They're in the upper echelons for now. It's an important victory. We said this team, there were worries about them running out of steam. It happened this time last year. They are looking like they are going just a step beyond. They'd love to get into playoffs. They'd love to go beyond that. They'd love to see how much they can build off this team with roster changes from last year. Some of the real stars still sticking with them, particularly You Should Know Me in that top lane. He wasn't on his choice champions this game. But he did have 3 games against Sansei and looked pretty okay on them.
Indeed it was, and it's not what we've come to know from the guy necessarily, or perhaps like come to be what we've associated with the guy, but it's still 3 solid enough games. And he plays it out well, and sometimes that's what you need. It actually is like, I can play these other archetypes of champions. I can play something that isn't all about me and all about my carry potential, and that can be pretty important in terms of the flexibility you offer to a draft.
So, Victor's Gaming, I'm not going to say I'm completely convinced by this team.
Nope.
There was enough in this series for me to be worried about them. I think even in that last game, I was sat there thinking, well, they're not really forcing around the Baron well. Things have slowed down a little bit, and there have been a couple of times they were picked out, but they do enough. And LGD, sadly for them, this team is so much better than 2 and 6.
Yeah.
It's so much better than 2 and 6. I feel really bad for them, honestly, in a lot of ways. They are a team which... I think Haichao's had some high moments. I think Meteor's had some high moments, and even Xiaoyu as well. We saw in this series, he's had his ups and downs. He's just trying to string together multiple series for them where they can build off of victories. They haven't managed to do that. They've had some close run losses. I'm going to go have a check, actually, of how many 2-1s they've ended up losing. It feels like an awful lot because, I don't know, this team, I'd like to see more from them, but they're just, not quite managing to get it together.
You need to hide the old matchups.
Yeah, but I wanted to see like the full match history instead because it's harder to tell off the graphs because my screen's not large enough on my laptop for it. You know how it goes.
Exactly that. And I think also perhaps to your point, to bring it back a little bit while you're looking that up, there's another conversation that is if IG are winning, if IG are at this kind of scoreline despite actually having some relatively exploitable play patterns, what does that say about the rest of the LPL right now?
Well, that's a big question, and I'm glad that's a good question. I like that because one of my big topics for this year is actually LPL looks like it is quite fallible. They're figuring out how to play the game again. They don't necessarily know how to force around objectives in the same way they did around like the double herald early game, and playing around some of the bot lane changes in terms of the map has really messed them up too. So for me, I'm sure that when it comes into later into spring and into summer, we'll see some of these teams punished a little bit more. And I did look at what happened to LGD. Every single series but one has gone to 3 games.
No,
so
really?
six out of their 7 series has gone to 3 games.
Reasonable, actually.
They went 2 games versus NIP. And they beat them. They lost 2-0 to them. They won 2-1 versus Ultra Prime. There was the EDG as well. So they have 2 series which been clean. Besides that, even against JDG, they won a game. They have now had,
So actually,
5 or 6 series which have gone to 3 games.
So LGD's the LGD's 2 wins are the ones where they've cleanly won. Every loss.
No. The 2 losses were 2-0s.
Oh,
yeah. Oh no. Because they lost 2-0 to EDG and they lost 2-0 to NIP as well.
I thought they beat EDG.
Nope, they lost to that. That was yeah.
Did they?
Oh no, sorry, no, they did. Yes, they beat EDG.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day.
Because EDG
Anyway,
got their first win earlier.
Look, the whole point was they go the distance an awful lot, and it feels like anyone's legend of last year, where they would win 1 game in the series, but they couldn't finish things out. They would, and yeah, it feels bad for them. Anyway, folks, I think we're going to end it there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for supporting the channel. We'll be back here for tomorrow. I don't think we're doing Wednesday, but if you want to keep watching some of the LPL games that aren't on official broadcast with a bit more of a formal cast, we're going to keep doing as many as we can. And yeah, I'm going to go find someone to raid. I need to
go on to Helldive. Or are you wanting to?
No, not today, because there's a potentially need to do content meeting stuff.
Yes, fine.
Which you need to do at some point. So I'm going to go find someone to send you over to. I am going to send you over to... Whatever, I'll send you over to Munchables, because he's still doing stuff. I'll see if he might... Yeah.
Go say hello to Munch.
Munchables.
What is Munchables' top munch?
I don't know, I'm not sure.
Ask him, chat.
I'm going to ask him that. Anyway, folks, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next... Look, I'm not going to lie, he's probably just going to go offline anyway, but it's nice to just show a name in the chat and show some support. See you, folks. Bye.